What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are back with another episode of Lions Latest, going through the latest Detroit Lions news. And today, we have some really unfortunate news, man. We have a player that sounds like he is going to be let go by the Detroit Lions, a veteran for the Lions, drafted here. He's been here for multiple seasons, got a second contract with the Lions, and now it sounds like on the final year of his contract, it is going to be the end of his time as a Detroit Lion. So let's get it started. Welcome, everybody, to another video. Glad you guys are here. And yes, man, we are back with another Lions latest video, and I'm going to do my best to kind of keep this video short and sweet. Not a ton really to dive into here, and really, man, this is the worst part of the offseason. As fun as it is when you talk about acquiring players, man, signing guys, trading, drafting, it's a ton of fun. That's been a ton of my focus recently, has been the draft, so I know things have been a little bit quiet on my side, but trust me, things will pick up very fast because that's what I'm doing. I'm really just trying to build out and kind of surround myself with a really good base of draft knowledge before we start diving into that. But today, we have some Lions news on the unfortunate side, which is a player getting let go. Now, I have no doubt that this guy is going to bounce back, get an offer from somewhere. Someone's going to pick this player up, and he's probably going to start for somebody, as he should. He's a good football player, so I have no concerns about that, but I am wishing the best here for Tracy Walker. However, he posted on Instagram today this message saying this: Detroit, I want to thank you for welcoming me and as a rookie and accepting me as family. I want to thank the Ford family for giving me the opportunity to be a part of something special over these last 6 years. I want to thank my fans and supporters for always having my back through it all. I want to thank the city for holding down for me. It was many ups and downs, but that's life. And life's 10% what happens to you, 90% how you respond. I love that, by the way. With that, the future is bright, and tea time, Tracy Walker time, we see you, is coming harder than ever for year 7. God bless. Tea time out. Yeah, this is tough, man. This is a tough one to read, and it's one of those things that, again, felt like one of the more obvious potential cuts. With this cut, according to Over the Cap, the Lions will save essentially $5.5 million in cap space with $7.3 million in dead cap. Part of that is the prorated bonus. Okay, the bonuses we know, of course, that we have to pay him this season, but then also part of that is also the void year that was thrown onto his contract. You'd see the Lions adjust Tracy Walker's contract, and we saw that last season. Essentially looked at it and said, man, he's almost got a $9 million base salary, so we're going to drop that, right? They had a little restructure. That throws in the void year, which again the Lions will pay up immediately, essentially, right? We know that's going to affect some of that dead cap number specifically because that's still something the Lions have to deal with. He only had 2 years left on his contract, so to again kind of spread out that money a little bit more that they wanted to free up through the base salary, they then had to say, okay, let's throw a voidable year onto this contract, and the Lions will now have to deal with that, and that affects that dead cap number that you see. So that obviously speeds up. Now we deal with it this season. That affects the dead cap number, but still it made a ton of sense. He was given a 3-year, $25 million contract extension coming off his rookie deal. We also had the void year on there for $2.5 million as well, according to Over the Cap. So this is, according to Over the Cap, we were set at about $44.8 million in cap space. Now that'll jump to just over $50 million in cap space, so it does give us some room to kind of work around with. And currently that safety position specifically is looking like Ife Melifonwu and Kirby Joseph are going to be the starters going forward. I think that's what most of us expected heading into next year, and it ended up being basically the case of the safety position this last season towards the end of the year when Ife Melifonwu was able to get healthy. He took over, and man, he was just a massive addition. The size, the length, the versatility that he brought to this defense, as well as the ball skills that he brought in the back end. While there's still things that need improvement, he's a young player. My goodness, was he huge for us. He was so darn good down the stretch. And then on the flip side, you have Kirby Joseph, who, after we saw him in his rookie season, it was like, yep, this is the guy going forward. This is the guy. He takes away the football. The safety position has kind of had a knack for that over the last couple of seasons, that those are the guys that force turnovers. But Kirby Joseph has given you more than that, right? He's brought some flexibility. He's also brought the willingness to step down and tackle. I think he's improved massively as just a tackler alone over his time here. But this video specifically is about Tracy Walker, and of course they're saving some cap space. I thought maybe there was a scenario where the Lions would go to Tracy Walker, and I don't know if they did this or not, so don't quote me on anything. I thought maybe this was a player that they could go to and say, hey, what about a pay cut here, right? Can we get a pay cut? Maybe in a way you save nearly the same money with a cut, maybe even more, where you try to come to a pay cut and say, we want to keep you on the roster, though. And maybe that happened, maybe it didn't. I could also understand the scenario of Tracy Walker looking at that saying, 1, no, I don't want a pay cut because I just don't want to take a pay cut. 2, okay, I'm coming back to not be a starter likely. I'm not super interested in that. Yeah, there's a third safety role, but I'm not super interested in that. And 3, he could potentially make more money signing somewhere else than just taking a pay cut here. So So I understand all of it. Plus, then he's not really putting himself out there as a starter. So it's like, okay, well, what the heck is that next contract going to look like? And for Tracy Walker, he played a significant amount this past season, and he played well. It was like, that's the Tracy Walker we know and love. Give him a lot of credit. He stepped in immediately. CD Deuce was injured, stepped in, and really from week 3 to week 13, he was the guy at safety. And I appreciate that. I also appreciate the work that he put in. And this is just from what I'm able to see. I don't get to see all of the background things, but I can just tell you from training camp experience alone, as a guy that has really not missed training camp at all any of the days, maybe a couple over the last couple of seasons, to see the work that Walker has put in, specifically when you see like the man coverage work, the extra reps that he is seemingly taking beyond anybody else. And it's like, yeah, that guy's working in an area that he wants to really get better. He's always been a big-time run defender, always been a very physical presence, right? He loves to hit it, and he sets the tone. He's always had some questionable ball skills in the back end where it's like, we just can't take advantage of some of the opportunities that are there. But the work that he put in terms of, I want to become a better coverage player, I really appreciate that, man. And Tracy Walker's always been a huge guy just for Lions fans alone. Camp experience, man, how he interacts with the fans. He's always been a big player to the fans, man, as he should be. He's just represented the Detroit Lions extremely well, man, and the hard work that he put into all of it. So I really do appreciate Tracy Walker. This is a tough one to see. I know he's a fan favorite. I hate this, to be honest. There's honestly just, it's the financial aspect of all of it, and it was one of the areas where it made sense that something was probably going to happen, because as the depth chart kind of shook out, it was like he's probably not going to start anyways next season. So this splitting feels like it's honestly probably the best for both sides. You hate it because when he signed that extension, it was like that's one of the big deals that we did give out. And Brad Holmes stuck to his guns. Like he said when he got here, hey, we're going to re-sign our guys. And he did that, whether that was Romeo, which unfortunately, we had to do a little pay cut at the end there. Charles Harris, we saw this as well. Tracy Walker, not necessarily that side of it, but it was like, okay, man, we missing him because he's injured. Now we're not even seeing Tracy Walker. And it was like, okay, so we extended this guy, but we're not seeing him. And that's one of the key parts of this defense. And just having Tracy Walker this past season, like he's a legitimate starting safety. You don't feel a big drop off when he's not in the game. He is a starting caliber safety, and I think he's just on the up and up. I think he's going to continue to improve, but this feels like it's best for both sides. With that being said, I do think there's a potential, a world where a CD Deuce gets brought back on another one-year deal. I don't know that he has a huge kind of year deal group out there of teams that are like, yeah, let's go get him for that right now. If he wasn't able to get that last offseason, I don't know how he necessarily gets it this offseason, especially after the significant amount of time that he missed, but I think that's definitely in play. If anything, his cap number just might drop a little bit, and plus, I'm still a huge CD Deuce guy, and I'd love to have the dude back if he was willing to come back, but, who knows about that one. We do have Brandon Joseph, and I think one thing that you do have to keep in mind is that the Lions have built up the safety position really well. It's been one of their strengths. If there is a strength, and they've done a lot of darn things well in the draft, we talk about just offseason acquisitions, one thing that they seemingly could scout really well is safety. And whether that was a cornerback from Syracuse and Ife Melifonwu, where it took a minute, but once he got healthy, it was like, yep, that guy, he's a pretty darn good safety. Or Kirby Joseph, and it was, maybe to some it was kind of clear, maybe to some it wasn't, but as a mid-round pick, I remember being fired up. We took him at Vegas that night. It was late in the night, and it was like, yo, we just got Kirby Joseph, and I was excited. And they can add safeties. Even Brandon Joseph out of Notre Dame, the dude can play. The dude can play, and it would not shock me in a world where next year we're saying that guy makes the final cut. He's on the roster for the Lions, right? The versatility that guy brings, and how well I thought he performed in the preseason this last season. So, yes, the Lions can address his position. I wouldn't count it out if the Lions could address it again in this year's draft. I haven't went through a ton of safeties, but I have went through a few. I'm trying to stay very open in the background to just look at every position, because Brad Holmes will shock you if you start to get locked into one, where that's a Cameron Kinchins out of Miami, who I'm a big fan of, man. That guy hits like an absolute linebacker. Recently, I watched, I don't know how to say his name correctly, the safety out of Utah, Sion Vaki. I don't know exactly how to say his name. I'm probably saying that way wrong. Javon Bullard is another really good safety out of Georgia that I recently watched. So, I've dove into a few there. Would not count it out, but the Lions know how to add that position. They're good at it. They know what they're looking for at safety. They've had success there, and those have been the ball hawks, the game changers. But again, it just made sense that this was going to happen. No, some of that can honestly just go right to CD Deuce. I mean, if CD Deuce re-signed, his number probably doesn't get super far above the number the Lions are actually saving. So, maybe it could just go right back into that. But I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying the cap space is valuable. The $5.5 million is valuable for the Lions. And for Tracy, I think it's valuable to go somewhere and get an opportunity to start, because he should, and I expect that he will. He absolutely will, in my opinion. And I think it just makes sense for both parties to be able to go out there and one side play and the other side save a little bit of cap space, because there just aren't a lot of clear clear and obvious cuts, and if you could save some money in certain spots, this just makes sense to do it because I think the future of the save position is we know what it is. We know what the future is with our top two going forward, and that's great. So, again, wishing the best here for Tracy Walker. I hate this. This is a good football player. It just made sense at this point in time. So, with that, go kill it, Tracy. Go do your thing. Okay, go be a dog. Man, I hate this. I'm really sad. I really am sad. This is a part of it, but I'm sad as a Lions fan, bro. I'm a huge Tracy Walker guy. He just rose on me in his time being as a Detroit Lion. The work that you could see that this dude put in, the improvements that he made, the tone setting, the way that he just interacted with the fans. This was a Detroit freaking Lion. So I hate this. I love me some Tracy Walker, man. So go kill it wherever you go. And for the Lions, it makes a ton of sense. I have no hate here whatsoever. Completely understand the move, and we'll go from there. All right. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you, for watching, and I'm out.